Now, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, called PENGASSAN, has confirmed the return of fuel subsidy under President Bola Tinubu. Now, President Tinubu had announced the removal of fuel subsidy on his first day in office, leading to increase in fuel price from 197 naira to between 480 naira and 570 naira. Now, the pump price was subsequently reviewed upward to 620 naira. However, the National President of PENGASSAN, that is Festus Osifo, said due to the cost of crude oil in the international market, the exchange rate, and the inability to access FOREX, the government has returned to paying subsidies on petrol. Now, the plot twist to this is that the NNPCL Group Executive Officer, that is Mele Kyari, insisted that the government had not reintroduced the petrol subsidy. So, joining me to talk more on this from Lagos, Nigeria, I have Oluseyi Awojulugbe. She is a senior analyst, SBM Intelligence. Oluseyi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, good morning.
Now, fuel subsidies have been reinstated under President Bola Tinubu, according to PENGASSAN, after much evasion from the administration, and we saw clandestine payments being made and denials, and of course, escalating rumors. So, did you actually anticipate that this would happen? And why is even the Nigerian government denying that subsidy has returned?
Yes, thank you for your question. We anticipated that the government was either going to return subsidies or create a special window and continue to defend the naira. It was one of the two alternatives or both, because the manner in which the subsidy was removed and the naira was devalued, or the multiple exchange rates in the US collapsed, led to, of course, we know, an increase in prices. And since Nigeria was already dealing with high inflation, that only exacerbated the problem. And so we knew that for political reasons and for reasons of maintaining stability within the economy, the government was going to do one of either return subsidies or defend the naira to keep the exchange rate low.
You will recall that President Bola Tinubu, during his inaugural speech, said that there is no going back on subsidy removal. But now we see a covert return of these subsidy payments and, of course, denials coming with it. Does it now mean that the plan was not, the implementation of the plan and the plan itself was not well thought through before it was brought to bed?
Well, I don't think I should go all out to say the plan was not well thought through. But one thing that we are seeing, of course, now we are seeing that the NNPCL is saying that it is not paying subsidies. But during the Buhari administration, we also had a similar case where the government said it was not paying subsidies, and then NNPC came out and said it is just under recovery. Whether you call it under recovery, whether you call it petrol subsidy, the point is that someone is making up for the differential in petrol prices between the landing cost and the pump price of petrol. So whether you call it under recovery or whether you call it subsidy, that differential is what really matters. And so as to whether the plan was not well thought out or properly implemented, we expected that some things would have been put in place or would have gone side by side with the subsidy removal, such as palliatives or a readjustment of the fiscal environment to go along and complement the subsidy removal policy. But that did not happen as we anticipated. And so, in our opinion, that is what caused the instability, if we may put it, or the reaction from the economy itself.
Well, though we're here to get an official statement from government or NNPC as regards this subsidy removal issue, shouldn't we have seen a reduction in the price of petrol at the filling stations? Because, of course, it's between 568 and 620 now, depending on the region, as against what it used to be 165, 169 thereabouts. So now that, well, though it's not confirmed, we see or we read that some sort of payment is being made, shouldn't we have seen a bit of reduction in price?
No, we can't see a reduction in price per se. And this is because the exchange rate. So let us just walk it back a little bit. We know for a fact that all of the petrol or all of the refined petroleum products consumed in Nigeria is imported. So which means that there is an exchange rate component. And so at the point where Nigerians were paying 197 naira per liter for petrol, what was the exchange rate value of the naira to the dollar? And then what is the exchange rate? Of course, we know what the market is saying now as regard the exchange rate of the naira to the dollar. So that forms like a bedrock, or is one of the foundation, one of the pillars of what determines the final pump price. And so if the price of crude oil, as you said earlier, although now it's falling, but if the price of crude oil has changed and if the exchange rate has changed, even if the government is paying subsidy, we might not necessarily experience a decrease in the pump price of petrol. So let me just give an analogy. If you were paying 300 naira to buy a liter of petrol and the government was paying 200 naira, for example, and then the price of petrol increases to 400 naira, that means, and maybe the actual price should be 500 naira. This is just an analogy now. It means that subsidy is now 100 naira. The government is no longer paying 200 naira that it was paying to keep the price at 300, since the price has increased to 400 naira. I'm not sure if that is clear, but that is it. So if the return of subsidy, as it were, would not necessarily translate to a decrease in the pump price of petrol. It might just mean that the exchange rate has increased, which has in this instance the naira was devalued, or that the government is paying less than what it used to pay for subsidies.
So that would mean we will continue to see a strain on the government purse, because we know that the Nigerian government is dealing with the issues of debt payment, inflation, a depleted foreign reserve. But then how precarious do you think this situation would be if the Nigerian government would have to continue to pay, of course, to subsidize fuel price?
The situation does not look good. That was not a nice word. The situation does not look good. But we hope that in the coming days, the government will be able to sort out what is going on at the currency end, such that the naira is stable and the exchange rate, we hope that the naira is able to be strengthened, and such that if that happens, that would mean that other people who have obtained licenses to import petrol can do that. And so if other people are importing petrol, if they can access FOREX and import petrol, that would bring competition to the market, healthy competition, we hope, such that the prices, everyone will not have to offer competitive prices to consumers.
Now, NNPC, during the course of these talks and plans, NNPC had planned to end crude oil swap contracts, switch to cash payments for fuel imports. And of course, we saw that the president, that is President Tinubu, was aiming to fully deregulate the crude oil market and, of course, alleviate the financial burden on its administration. Now, does it seem, at this point that we are, does it seem that these plans are in jeopardy?
To a large extent, it's hanging in the balance. It's just hanging. It's hanging. We don't know for sure if NNPC has ended those food swap contracts, because if the NNPC, it's one of two things. It's either that the NNPC has maintained some of those food swap contracts in order to get petrol into the country, or that the NNPC factored in a higher price of crude oil when it was making the calculations of getting the petrol pump price to 620 naira per liter. So it's either of two things that have kept has ensured that we still have petrol in the market today. So those plans may not exactly go on at the pace that we would have anticipated or that the government had earlier planned. But we hope that in the days to come or in the months to come, that these can be carried out such that Nigeria can utilize its efforts for what really matters and not expend it all on importing petrol or paying for subsidies.
Just as you have said, Oluseyi, one of the things that economists are saying is to effectively manage the foreign exchange market and see how local production of oil can be optimized in the country. Maybe that can help stabilize or probably reduce pump price. But then we'll see what happens during the course of the months as regards this. Of course, what the Nigerian government has up its sleeves to deal with it. Now, Oluseyi Awojulugbe, Senior Analyst, SBM Intelligence, it was nice having this session with you. Thank you so much.